Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday episode of Vimoh Live. My name is Vimoh, and this is all live. It's a live stream that happens on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m., where we talk about contemporary Indian affairs and atheism, religion, and other such adjacent issues. Thank you for joining me this Saturday. On Saturdays, I take callers. I'll share a link in the chat momentarily. It will be pinned to the top. If you click on it, you will be able to join me on screen. Uh, and Yeah, it's a difficult day because the topic has to do with child abuse, and that's always something that really gets me. There is this the a video started doing the rounds a couple of days ago, not couple of days ago, last night actually, late last night, that a teacher somewhere in Muzaffarnagar, not Muzaffarpur, Muzaffarnagar, had gotten her students to uh, hit one particular student, and the student was a Muslim boy, and there were apparently also some anti-Muslim remarks being said there. I'm not going to show you the video. I'm pretty sure you must have run into it uh, online somewhere, and if you have not, you will. And if you don't want to watch it, that's also understandable. But the डॉग व्हिstling, the hatred that is spread everywhere, ये तो ऐसे ही होता है, इनके साथ ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, starting from godi media anchors who are primarily to blame for this, I feel, because even the politicians and the government would not have so much power had it not been for these. I don't want to use swear words in the first 30 seconds of a YouTube video, but you get my point. And earlier today I released a short video about a man called Fakir Mohan Senapati. He was one of the founding fathers of Odisha, as in the state of Odisha before it came into being. Whatever cultural solidity the idea of Odisha had was because of this man, along with some other people. When he was a young boy, when he was a young boy, little boy, he had lost his parents and he was educated by his uncle and his aunt. His uncle had hired a tutor to teach him. This tutor was quite happy with the boy because the boy was very smart. Young Fakir Mon was very smart. So the teacher would go at the end of the month to the uncle to get his wages for having done his job, and the uncle would not pay him because he never saw any marks of violence on the boy's body. It was his understanding that education and child abuse go together. And therefore, the teacher, despite the fact that Fakir Mohan did not do anything wrong, started beating him just to get his wages. And this goes a long way in explaining to us, explaining why child abuse is such an integral part of our culture. We have we have YouTube reaction channels which do hilarious reaction videos about children getting beaten up by their parents or their teachers or something. I believe the technical term for it is pitai review. We have all normalized this idea that school में तो बच्चों को violence का सामना करना ही पड़ेगा, to such an extent that nobody even bats an eyelid at it. Now, this particular incident had a Islamophobic flavor to it, and obviously that is bad. And as I said, it is the result of the intellectual climate of the country being what it is right now. But it is also a wider problem, because think about all the children who were forced to beat their classmate despite perhaps not wanting to. What does it do to them? What message is sent to them? Because as I wrote in my post earlier today on Instagram, I call it riot school. We have talked about this before, right? We have talked about how hate speeches are given where Hindus are asked to pick up weapon against them, घर में तलवारें रखा रखना शुरू करो, बिकॉज़ अपैरेंटली हम सबको और कोई काम नहीं है घर पे बैठ के इनके अनपेड सिपाही बनने के अलावा. So their children will get great educations at foreign institutions and all that. Our children will become murderers so that they may remain in power. And this thing that we saw in this school was basically ground level training for that. That's why I called it riot school in the thumbnail of the video. We will talk more about this, but at the moment, the latest news is that an FIR has been filed against that excuse of a teacher, that child abusing criminal who is pretending to be a teacher. And apparently, some people have also gone and met the child. The child has given some interviews to the media. His identity, rightly, is being concealed. And I believe Naresh Tiket was also at the child's house, and there were some videos going around of the child hugging his classmates. Now, that is obviously the only way you heal from this. When someone is made to feel that they do not belong, the only way to heal from it is to create conditions where they feel like everyone loves them. And it's a child we're talking about, an 8-year-old child. Imagine the kind of trauma it causes to someone at that age. Imagine the kind of loneliness they feel. The child's father has gotten his name removed from the school. I feel the right course of action should be that this teacher, this sadistic fuck, should be put in jail, and this child should be reassured by everyone around him and hopefully brought back to the same school, and if not, given compensation for what he has gone through. But yeah, let me take a look at a few comments before I let me share the link first. I'll share a link in the chat. I'll pin it to the top so that you guys can click it and you can come and we can speak. And before that, until that happens, let me just take a look at some of the comments that have come in. Doctor says, recently a teacher of Physics Wala Coaching Institute abused the scheduled caste. It is the perfect example of what is the reality of teaching profession in India. Yeah, we in thousands of schools across India, we have so-called teachers who are A, terrible at their job, and B, really just criminals. Because these people, had they not been teachers, would be exercising this violence elsewhere. These are people with criminal tendencies who should have received who should have received therapy at a young age, or some kind of psychological help, but they didn't, and now we have, in our great wisdom, put them in the middle of our children. Rudra says, check Tatva India's latest post, which states a statement from ISRO that science originated from Vedas repackaged as Western discoveries. So I made a short video about this on Instagram. Let me just try and show it to you. I don't. I wonder if the audio will play. Mm, yeah, here it is. Let me just share this with you. And- Hello, can you see this? Mm, 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 mm. I hope you can see this. Let me just turn on the audio. Hope you can hear it. We don't take that seriously because that was not. Mathematician Ramanujan used to say that the solution to his mathematical equations were provided to him by a goddess who came to him in his dreams. We don't take that seriously because it's not verifiable or provable. Scientists are taken seriously when they say scientific things that are verifiable and provable. Scientists may have other opinions, which we don't need to take seriously just because they're scientists. If a scientist came into a lab and said, take me seriously because I'm a scientist, people will laugh at him and ask him to get out and get his head checked. So, yeah, a scientist's opinion is only valid when it talks science. ISRO chief said science originated from Vedas and was repackaged as Western discoveries. Your thoughts on it? Uh, Isaac Newton used to think that Christ's second coming could be predicted using the Bible. Yeah, you get the idea. That was my general answer to that. It was that if someone says that a scientist said that the Vedas are scientific and therefore we should think that the Vedas are scientific, then your argument essentially is that if a scientist says it, it must be true. But if that is your position, then you'll also have to take Isaac Newton seriously and come to the conclusion that Christ's second coming is going to happen. And that Ramanujan, in addition to being a mathematical genius, was also in touch with a goddess who used to come in his dreams and tell him the answers to his mathematical problems. And most people, I assume, are not going to be willing to do that. So the ISRO chief saying it, and this Tatva India Instagram account saying it does not make it true. It is appeal to authority, a logical fallacy. Right. So a bunch of people have joined. Let me just take. Hold on. Let me take a look at what they want to talk about. Um, mm, 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 mm. Arjun, your number is number 5. Sorry. Yash, your number is number 2. First is Sandarsh. Hi, Sandarsh. You can unmute
Hi,
yourself.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. I was just typing down what I'm gonna speak when you picked me up. I didn't know I would
Okay.
be the first here.
So what is the
Thanks for
topic?
this. And
Now you don't
yeah,
have to type. What is the topic?
of course. Yeah. So I was just quite curious to understand the origin of the word, you could say, patriarchy and patriarchism.
Hmm.
origin seems similar, right? So when we say
Patriarchy and patriotism.
patriotism, patriotism,
I had
right?
honestly never thought about this, but it
Yeah,
does come from the word pater, which means
yeah,
father,
right.
right?
So right,
Anglo-German,
right.
I think, could be wrong.
Mhm.
Pater, patriotism. Let me just look it up now. Um,
It is, yeah. Please look at it.
etymology of patriot. Late 16th century from French patriote, from late Latin patriota, means fellow countryman, from Greek patriotes, from
Mhm.
patrios, of one's father, for patris, fatherland. So
Right.
so the origin of the word patriot comes from fatherland, and
Mhm.
patriarchy, I think, is more direct. Let me just look that also.
Yeah.
Patriarchy would be, it comes from Greek, from the word patriarches and patriarchia, which
Mhm.
is in medieval Latin the English word patriarch, uh, ruling father. So yeah, etymologically both of them come from the
So
same source.
right,
Yeah.
right. So when we say we have people, when we say I am a patriot,
Hmm.
uh, it is kind of, I mean, it is something that I have started thinking on very recently. Until
Hmm.
then, though, I was quite fine. Now
Hmm.
we have this thing when we hear the term nationalists and hyper nationalism, we tend to avoid that because it gives a whole different connotation. Nationalism has
Hmm.
become hyper nationalism.
Hmm.
So I suppose I could say I'm a patriot. Then just gave it a thought, and I'm like, I just googled what is patriotism. Is there something like that?
Yeah.
It says love and concern for the society. Patriotism is
Okay.
love and concern for the society. You can even look Google it up.
Matriarch. I was thinking, oh no,
Yeah.
that's an IT solutions company. Matriarchy or matri. What is the word you look for?
Patriotism. Just Google patriotism.
Matriotism.
Yeah.
School, hometown, or parish pride, or loyalty as opposed to nationalism or patriotism. Love or celebration of a woman's influence upon society, the female equivalent to male patriotism. Okay.
Society, right? So
Hmm.
now I can't even call myself or even people I know as patriots because I
Hmm.
know this because I googled it. So
Yeah.
what do you suggest I use the term to say a person who loves the country? Do I say a person who loves the country every time?
See, my in Hindi, the solution is very simple. The word people normally use is Desh Bhakti, which I don't like. I like Desh Prem, which means love
Mhm.
for the country. Because when you're doing bhakti of someone, you cannot question them. But
Right,
when you love someone, then it's part of your duty to just point out what they're doing wrong, also, right?
right.
So that problem is solved for me by Hindi, which no language is perfect, but at least in this respect, Hindi seems to have a better solution than patriot.
Seems sounds right.
I suppose
As
Desh Prem is not even a Hindi word exclusively. I'm sure there are other languages in India which can use Desh Prem.
yes, yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I just wanted to put out that thought in you as well. If you had not thought before, just
No,
wanted to
no,
put
good
that
thought, good
across.
thought, good thought.
Yeah. Other than that, the child abuse or the concern
Hmm.
that you raised, what are we teaching our future
Hmm.
generations, right? So I currently am pursuing counseling psychology. So I
Okay.
do hear a lot of case studies in this regard.
Okay.
What could be potential client and what could be the concerns, and also when perpetrators also seek counseling over a long run. That could have happened 6 7 years ago. Now that they are aware that they were perpetrators back then, they also
Hmm.
seek counseling at times. So these are all the cases that I come across, and I just read through them. And the topic that I mean, until I thought of joining, I didn't know what the topic would be. I saw that.
Hmm.
And yes, so with this, I'd also want to put one other thought. When pseudoscience is so prevalent, when superstitions are so prevalent, we don't see any effort from education system to not eradicate, at least even address that or acknowledge that. In
Hmm.
fact, we see around schools with temples
Hmm.
within their premises, right?
Hmm.
So we see temples within their premises, or even the Montessori's, the church.
Hmm.
The whole idea
Hmm.
is church and school. It's not school, also church. It is church and school. So basically
Yeah.
that this. So exactly what we are teaching to the future generations is one thing, and we see AI also kind of saying, "I can do astrology now." This is something that I
Hmm.
spoke in the last week in this call. So
Hmm.
AI suggesting I'll do astrology now. So with
Hmm.
all this, even if school is not teaching kids of things that are not right, they
Yeah.
themselves would be learning because they have access to internet and there is no
Yeah.
filter or anything at all. So with all this, I mean, the question I think will be addressed in this live stream after this, I suppose. But yeah, so education system doesn't have has not at least until now addressed any such concerns. Has this been addressed or at least spoken about in education systems elsewhere, if not in India? Because I'm so
Hmm.
very my exposure is very primitive and only to India and also very few places of India. I
Hmm.
can't extrapolate it and say the whole India is this way. Although I can, I don't want to, and I certainly can't extrapolate it to the entire world.
Hmm.
Are there any such societies which has built in such thoughts into their education system? If yes, I think.
I wouldn't know either. Like, I'm sure there must be a more enlightened education system somewhere. We keep hearing about small countries in Europe which have these ideas, but I don't know exactly for sure. But yeah, it would be a great thing if we could do these. Like, I keep harping on about the importance of teaching people humanities. I think, we have these subjects in school like civics, political science, etc., which tend to be just things that, here's a book, memorize it and write down whatever our constitution says in an exam and you'll get marks. We don't turn it into lived experience the way we have practical examinations in physics and chemistry. So I think some humanities subject at school level can have a practical aspect, I think, but I don't know to what extent that is being done these days.
So will be too long of a run for India, I suppose,
Too
to
long for a.
inculcate such. It must be a tool. I mean, a marathon. It could be for India to reach there to inculcate such nuances in education
I don't
system.
think so. I think such changes can be brought about overnight. I mean, at least school ka core change karne mein, if they can bring out a new education policy and force everyone to go through it and say that an owl was a crow back 30 years ago, then they can do this also. Changing the
Yeah.
education curriculum does not take effort, right?
Mhm.
Getting people to absorb it and make it their own, that takes effort. But we can totally bring about that change. But our
Mhm.
unfortunately, our national priorities these days are completely upside down.
Yeah, true. And one thing, I mean, the last thing, I'm not taking more of your time. So one
Last
thing,
point.
last point, our parental generation, right? At
Hmm.
least my parental generation. What most of, though my guardians are quite radicals and also they are rational in
Hmm.
their own thought. They're
Hmm.
also gradualists. When I say that, they say it'll all get better in the long run,
Hmm.
though they have seen and appreciate French Revolution and other revolutions around, they would say it is a long run. India is
Hmm.
still what 70 years, 75 years old. India is
Hmm.
just India is only 75, 76 years old.
Hmm.
The other countries that we see which has progressed, they have long history of revolution. So India
Hmm.
will get there. So there's still time. India is going to get there. So this is a gradualist thought and any comments
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that?
yeah. Yeah. So I'm not a huge fan of gradualist thought, honestly, because
Okay.
our country has not been gradualist. When the American Constitution was released, it took more than a century for their people of color and black people and women to get the right to vote, right? But our
Yeah.
constitution was like, we just, yeah, from today onwards, caste is over, deal with it. So
Yeah.
we have not really, like, if gradualism is something that people think uh, needs to be the path that should be taken because everyone else has done it, I don't agree with it. I think if a more radical change can be brought about more quickly,
Mhm.
which is no
Hoping for
shade on
it.
the parents,
Yeah.
obviously, as long as they're on the right side of things, then that's
True.
okay.
True. Right. Hoping for the same. Thank you, Vimoh. Thank you for this
Thanks, man.
chance
Thank
and
you,
glad I
Sandarsh.
was the first one here. See you then. Bye.
Chalo, bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
That was Sandarsh. There's a super chat from Nishant Panda. Nishant, thank you for the $4.99. Nishan says, we keep sowing religious hatred and expect a bountiful garden. This is really sad. Also, as a fellow Odia, Rebati is a great read. I don't know if I've read Rebati. What I read was Fakir Mohan Granthavali, which had everything. I had conjunctivitis, and my favorite pastime was reading. So, since I couldn't do it, my mom read the entire Fakir Mohan Granthavali to me while I was like lying on the bed with my eyes closed because I couldn't see anything. I was a kid. She also had conjunctivitis, but she still read it, and that's how I know the story of Fakir Mohan Senapati's childhood. But thank you, Nishant. Thank you for the contribution. Rajat Verma, thank you for the $2.50 super chat. Glad to join the live stream after so many days. Thank you, Rajat. Much appreciated. And again, thank you for the contribution. Um, let's see. Everyone who's in chat, if you could just go to the private chat section and tell me what you want to talk about. I don't want, then I don't have to waste your time. I can just take someone based on the topic, and I can tell the rest that you don't have to wait, because there is like one, two, three, four, five, six people waiting right now. There were more than 10, but some people left. Uh, Yash says fault lines in caste politics in India and dilemmas we face. Okay. Hi, Yash. You're online.
Hi Vimoh, how are you?
I am okay. How are you?
I'm also doing okay. Thank you for
Okay.
letting me in. Am I audible properly?
You are audible. Yes.
So the question that I have is a bit elaborate. So can you allow me a couple of minutes to sketch out the context, and
Sure,
then I would
sure.
like to hear your take.
Sure.
Okay,
Just
thank
don't
you.
take a
So
couple of minutes. I'm sure you can do it in 1 minute.
okay, now I have it's like a bit elaborate. So I mean I'll just stop after that, and I can you can
Okay, okay. Go on.
give me
Start,
your
start, start.
yeah, okay. Sure. So we have got a lot of content about caste on your channel, and I agree with 100% of what you have to say.
Hmm.
But there are some things that still concern me in that I mean if we take reservation for example,
Hmm.
uh, uh, the total jobs in India, उसमें से reservation applies to a very tiny amount of jobs, like unorganized
Yeah.
sector private में reservation है ही नहीं, like it
Yeah.
doesn't apply there. Even
Hmm.
in those sectors where it applies, so many seats are just left vacant in public sector, or even if
Yeah.
they're filled, so like वहाँ पे भी it doesn't go. जो public sector jobs see since
Hmm.
1990s, so many of them have just withered away to privatization. So
Hmm.
that space has shrunk. Or if we speak of also like education, reservation in education,
Hmm.
reservation only puts a marginalized person inside the institution. But once they are in
Hmm.
institution, there is no protection provided to them by reservation. Like it just focuses on the formal aspects. But we know, I mean, so many cases of marginalized students being harassed, and like
Yeah.
there's no institutional protection that reservation provides.
Hmm.
Or something like, I mean, if I'm going to study somewhere, I also need a place to stay, and we know that people from like even if people have the ability to pay, they are not given property or rent just because they
Yes.
belong to. So I mean,
Hmm.
reservation is a fairly it's like a very modest sort of attempt at addressing caste inequalities,
Hmm.
and it's not even properly implemented. I mean, I personally know people, upper caste people, who have had made fake certificates and gotten into institutions.
Yeah.
So it's like a very modest attempt, and it's not even whatever modest it is, it's not properly implemented at all in India.
Okay.
But in the past 70 odd years, we have seen that how political parties have exploited it to show that the Indian state is so great because it does so much for the backward classes,
Hmm.
and thus it tries to woo them, the Bahujans, for legitimacy. And
Hmm.
this is also what Ambedkar had realized, and that's why just a few years after implementing the constitution, he went on to say, "I want to burn this constitution," because he
Hmm.
realized that the Indian National Congress had used him as a hack to give legitimacy to the constitution and the state in the eyes of the Bahujans. This was the
Hmm.
point that Anand Teltunga wrote about.
Hmm.
So my concern here is that what do we do when people from marginalized backgrounds do end up rallying around and support the establishment or establishmental causes? Like Lokniti CSDS surveys have told us that since 2014, at both the state and central level, SC, ST, and OBC vote has shifted towards the and consolidated around the present dispensation. And I mean, one can of course point out that how the Sangh has co-opted Dalits, Adivasis, and OBC into their fold
Hmm.
by exploiting fault lines within them. Like I think I have heard about Republic of Hindutva is a book by Badri Narayan. He has documented it very well. Like for example, UP mein BSP came to be dominated by Jadhav Dalits. So BJP
Hmm.
targeted non-Jadhav Dalits, and so
Hmm.
I mean all that is well documented. But
Okay.
what I'm concerned about is like what should we do? We as in broadly those who fall on the left side of the political spectrum,
Hmm.
when faced with say prominent figures from marginalized backgrounds who come up and say that they are exercising their agency and choosing to support the establishment for their own good. I wouldn't
Yeah.
like to take names, but like I have heard of someone who talks about something like Dalit capitalism,
Hmm.
that Dalit capitalism would emancipate the masses by providing them opportunities. And I had also interacted with a spokesperson from Bihar who
Hmm.
says that he supports Hindutva by saying that how the present dispensation has done given so much space to the marginalized community and as opposed to the previous regimes. So I
Hmm.
mean, we can't just ignore these leaders because simply because they exercise considerable influence among the constituency whose rights we are arguing for.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's enough of theoretical work about this. Like I know of something called uh, the westernization of Brahmins and the Sanskritization of Dalits. That's the work of M. N. Srinivas, a sociologist.
Hmm.
Or there's also Panchalia's work on neo Kshatriyas.
Hmm.
But as a like at this moment in 21st century India, when we are faced with so many situations, I mean,
Hmm.
how do we respond to a votary of the present dispensation, especially when like they can easily accuse us of being us as in the left being of being condescending or paternalist to them at best, like we are like as if we know their interests better than they do, or at worst they
Yeah.
can just like say you are casteist and you are discriminating against us uh,
Yes.
by straight away trying to snatch their
So
voices. So
can I respond now?
just one maybe I mean uh,
one of my problems is I still don't know what you're asking exactly.
so what I'm saying is that I mean for example in India, so an average marginalized person is driven by many things. Like they also read WhatsApp forwards, and they also see 9 o'clock TV debates, and something like say national
Hmm.
security or economic development also moves people. I'm not saying that
Hmm.
caste is irrelevant or not there. It is very much
Hmm.
there. It is there everywhere, but it's not the only thing always. And what do we do when prominent figures from those castes themselves rally around the establishment and present it as if it's their choice? I mean, there are so many trade-offs and gray areas here. So, what do we, as those on the political left, do to
Okay, got it.
respond to this
Got it.
situation?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So my response to that, in short, is that first of all, for bringing such a host of views into the mix, uh, my response is that when I started talking about caste, it was primarily out of a little bit of anger against what the positions that I myself had for several years. Like, how could I not have
Hmm.
seen this? How could I have remained so blind to this? So I started talking, and one of the things that I came across in conversations and by reading, texts written on social media by Dalit Bojan Adivasi people, is that whenever someone from Savarna liberal leftist background will ask, "What can I do to be a better ally?" their response was always, "Talk to people in your families, talk to the people who are like you, and try
Hmm.
to convince them of the basic truths." Right? First of all,
Hmm.
the most basic thing is that caste exists and it is a problem. बहुत से लोग वही मान, like that is the first gate, and it is almost impossible
Hmm.
to get many people to cross that also, right?
Agreed.
So imagine someone crosses that gate, then the next gate, then the next gate, and now they're you know looking around and they see Ambedkarite thought, Dalit capitalism, and a whole lot of other things. I
Yes.
feel like at that point they are
Hmm.
able to navigate it and come to conclusions by talking to people. So when I talk about caste and reservation, my main goal is to get people to cross those first, second, and third gates, right?
Hmm.
So sure, there is a lot of things that we need to be aware of. I mean, if you're in favor of Ambedkarite thought, focus more on Ambedkarite thought. If you are uh, someone who thinks that more people should understand the point of reservation, focus on that. Uh, at the end of the day, you're going to it's a vast area, and you are going to find your
Hmm.
way through it with your own efforts, and the
Hmm.
places to which your own efforts lead you are going to be decided by what you find on the way. Nobody is going to become like,
Hmm.
there is almost no one who you can say that they understand the entirety of every social issue, right? So it's going to be a longer journey, and I certainly don't have all the answers. I'm just trying to do my part,
Okay.
is what my response is.
Okay. But specifically, when we are faced with prominent political leaders from marginalized communities who rally around
Hmm.
the ruling party and
Yeah.
who suggest that it is very condescending of people like us to say that they do not represent the interests of the marginalized, then
Hmm.
what do we do in that situation? Like, should we listen to them? Should we like discredit them? Like
You
what?
can listen to multiple views, right? My own personal position is
Hmm,
that I try to talk about caste and reservation, but I will never argue with
hmm.
someone who has undergone caste-based discrimination in their life. My
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
conversation is with people who are like
Hmm,
me. And if someone has a
hmm.
problem with what I say, I will listen to them. I will try to read what the direction that they try to point me towards. That's a great way to do it also. You can, when someone says to you that you don't have the right to say this, you say, okay, explain to me, if you have time, could you please explain to me your position and what can I read more to, educate myself about this.
Okay. But the problem that I see is that many of these leaders, I mean, I'm primarily talking about uh, political parties here, but
Hmm.
the way like this is I got from the
I'm sure
CSDS political.
no matter which political party you're talking about, you can always find
Hmm.
views that support them and views that are against them. And it's not even hard
Yes,
to
yes.
find them, right? You can also always do a little bit of background check. Okay, this person is saying this, that person is saying that. What are the opposing views to this? And you can educate yourself on that.
No, I agree. You can educate. What I'm saying is that how these uh, these figures exercise a lot of influence among the general public, and that
Hmm.
basically constructs what norms on skill called manufacturing consent for the
Hmm.
regime, which is doing a lot
Hmm.
of harm to things that we would like to see or we would like to
Hmm.
improve upon at the larger societal level.
Hmm. So, what exactly confuses you at that point? Okay, you found someone
You-
who's from a backward community, and they're working to help the state, right?
yes, they're
Hello.
actively arguing for its ideology
Huh. So
and
they're
mobilizing a lot of people
yeah.
in its
So
support.
yeah. So at that point, what is the question that you want to deal with? Like, is your
The question
question?
is how do we as people on the broadly people on the left
Hmm.
who are against the establishment
Hmm.
deal with such a figure?
I told you, you educate yourself and you try to find, if you there are two possibilities, right? You will either agree with them, or you will find that sometimes members of a marginalized community find it useful to align with the dominant political strain of the of society at that point of time in order to make advancement possible. So there will be like there are black Republicans right now in America in the presidential
Yes,
race.
yes, yes.
An Indian guy has entered, and I wish he hadn't, because he's
Vivek
like
Ramaswamy.
anti-trans, anti-climate change, not anti-climate change, anti-climate change awareness. So
Yes, climate
what is
skeptics.
happening with him there? He's like, okay, there is no way someone like me is rising up with society. Here are these people, and they have some radical views. Let me just agree with them in hopes that I will rise up at least in their party, because they also need to show people that they're not racist, right? They keep getting defensive
Yes,
about it.
yes.
So maybe I'll join and I'll get there. So Republicans are like, see,
Hmm.
we also have a person of color, and he's like, see, I'm not like other people who are of my skin tone. So that happens sometimes. But in general, I would always say that when you face opposition of that sort from people who are from a marginalized background and are arguing in favor of the state, hear them out, try to educate yourself on what their position is. And sure, maybe you will go over that side, maybe you will stay where you are, maybe you will come over to another side. It's going to be, it's going to be provisional.
Okay, okay, thank you.
There is Yash. Before you go, let me just read to you a comment that Taranga has sent. Yeah, but Yash, we can engage with them on the question of why capitalism and fascism, religious majoritarianism are okay with them. Many people do shift and change in the discussion.
No, I am primarily talking about politicians here. I mean, I have not met them virtually. I mean,
Mm.
it's
Okay.
a prominent spokesperson, national level spokespersons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm,
I get it. Cool. Yash, thank you for coming.
thank you.
Bye bye. That was Yash. And let me just. Okay, no. This is a comment from Taranga. It was about how she does not like the term Desh Prem. Wait, where is it? Um, अरे कहाँ गया? Anyway, I think I've lost it. So let me take a look at the private chat. Who all wants to talk about one? Uh, Arjun is here. Arjun was actually here last week also. He wanted to talk about responsibilities of the opposition. So let me take on Arjun. Arjun, you're online.
हाँ, नमस्ते आपको।
Namaste.
तो हुँ, तो मैं इसके बारे में बात करना चाह रहा था। अभी काफ़ी टाइम हो गया उस चीज़ को।
Hmm.
जो मणिपुर पे जो अपोज़िशन लेकर आया था उसको क्या कहते हैं यार, मैं ज़रा नाम ही भूल गया यार। क्या कहते हैं उसको?
No
बिल
confidence motion.
नो
Hmm.
कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन अपोज़िशन लेकर आया था मणिपुर के ऊपर।
Hmm.
तो मतलब मैं जब इंडिया अलायंस बना था तब मुझे काफ़ी होप थी। लेकिन जब
Hmm.
मैंने वो नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन की उनकी जो स्पीच देखी,
Hmm.
उसको देखकर लगा कि उन्होंने प्रिपरेशन बहुत अच्छी नहीं की थी। जब राहुल गांधी का जब मैंने वो वाला भाषण सुना था जो
Hmm.
अडानी इश्यू पर उन्होंने दिया था, वो बहुत अच्छा था, बहुत अच्छा।
Hmm.
लेकिन अडानी इश्यू पर फिर भी बीजेपी के पास कुछ सवाल है, जैसे कि
Hmm.
आपके लोग भी तो अडानी के साथ हैं।
Hmm.
श है ना? शरद पवार है
Hmm.
और महाराष्ट्र
Got it.
हाँ, अशोक गहलोत है। लेकिन
Hmm.
मणिपुर पे उनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं था बीजेपी के पास। तो ये एक ऐसा टाइम था, एक ऐसा मौका था जिसमें विपक्ष पूरी तरह से खत्म कर सकता था शायद। मोदी जी की
नहीं
पूरी
कर
छवि
सकता
को
था
खत्म कर
क्योंकि
हाँ,
पार्लियामेंट ऑलरेडी एक रिग्ड गेम बन चुका है। जब राहुल गांधी स्पीच दे रहे
हाँ।
थे, तो तुम्हें क्या लगता है वो मणिपुर के ऊपर डेटा पॉइंट्स रेज़ करते और उनको करने दिया जाता? वो ही हैड रेज़्ड सो मेनी डेटा पॉइंट्स विद द अडानी स्पीच, वो सारा का सारा एक्सपंज हो गया।
हाँ,
राइट।
वो एक
आई थिंक ऑपोजिशन ऑपोजिशन इस समय जो काम कर रही है वो ये इस अवेयरनेस के साथ कर रही है कि हमको ड्रामा क्रिएट करना है, क्योंकि हम पॉइंट्स रेज करेंगे तो पॉइंट्स गायब कर दिए जाएंगे क्योंकि हमारे कंट्रोल में कुछ नहीं है। स्पीकर इज टेकिंग देयर साइड, द गवर्नमेंट इज
हुँ।
प्रिटेंडिंग एज इफ इट्स द ऑपोजिशन एंड वी आर द गवर्नमेंट। एंड सो ये लोग अभी उस अप्रोच को ही फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं और वो लोग कुछ कुछ भी स्पेस दे देते ना वो खत्म नहीं कर पाते बिकॉज ये गेम पूरी तरह से रिग्ड हो चुका है।
हाँ, हाँ, इस तरह से मैंने सोचा नहीं है, पर आपकी बात सही लगती है मुझे। लेकिन मैंने
हम्म।
कुछ पत्रकार वगैरह को सुना था सत्य हिंदी पे, तो उन्होंने यही आपत्ति लगी थी और मुझे भी जब मैंने सुना था स्पीच को, तो वैसे ही मुझे लगा था कि कमेंट और कंटेंट में बैलेंस नहीं था। ख़ैर
अच्छा।
आपकी बात के हिसाब से हो सकता है कि वैसा किया हो उन्होंने, पर उनकी एक स्पीच की बहुत ज़रूरत है। कई पत्रकार
किसकी
बता रहे थे कि
किसकी
जो
किसकी?
राहुल गांधी के जो फॉलोवर्स हैं,
हम्म।
वो ये डिमांड कर रहे थे कि उनको और बोलना चाहिए था और अच्छे से बोलना चाहिए था। तो यानी
हम्म।
उनकी एक स्पीच की ज़रूरत है, अब उन्हें भार भी देना चाहिए लेकिन एक ऐसी स्पीच देना चाहिए दमदार, जो
हम्म।
मणिपुर इश्यू के हर जैसे उनकी पूरी एक लिस्ट थी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में पूरी लिस्ट बनी हुई है, कि इतनी
हम्म।
एफआईआर हुई है लेकिन इतने पकड़े गए हैं। ये सारे
हम्म।
क्वेश्चन्स हैं। वो लिस्ट ही आप बोल दीजिए बस लेकर,
सर
तो
एक चीज़
बहुत
तो
अच्छी
अर्जुन, एक चीज़ ये भी है ना कि खाली स्पीच से कुछ होता नहीं है। तुम
हुँ।
पार्लियामेंट में एक धांसू स्पीच दे दोगे, उससे क्या होगा? उससे एक वीडियो क्लिप बनेगी
नहीं
जिसके ऊपर लोग
पार्लियामेंट में
बॉलीवुड
नहीं
के
लेकिन बाहर
बाहर
आकर भी
बाहर उन्होंने दिया
हुँ,
है, बाहर उन्होंने दिया है। कांग्रेस की तरफ से प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस होती रहती हैं। अभी कल या परसों ही उन्होंने लद्दाख में एक स्पीच दी है और पार्लियामेंट में जो हल्ला-बल्लू हुआ उसका एक कंक्लूजन ये निकला कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मणिपुर के बहुत सारे केसेस आसाम के एक हाई कोर्ट को ट्रांसफर कर दिए हैं, सो
हुँ,
दैट निष्पक्ष जांच हो सके क्योंकि उनको भरोसा नहीं था कि वहाँ पे ढंग से होगा। सो
हुँ,
हुआ है, चीज़ें हुई हैं। हमें हमेशा इन चीज़ों को एक भाषण के पर्सपेक्टिव से नहीं देखना चाहिए। हम लोग इन चीज़ों को एंटरटेनमेंट में बदल देते हैं और जिसके फलस्वरूप ये होता है कि राहुल गांधी ने आया और एक अच्छा-सा भाषण दे दिया और हम बोले हाँ, हो गया, जो होना था हो गया। जबकि वो
हुँ।
मणिपुर जो स्टेट है, वहाँ पे अभी भी हिंसा हो रही है।
हाँ, मतलब मैं उसको एंटरटेनमेंट में कन्वर्ट नहीं कर रहा हूँ। मैं ये कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि एक ऐसा भाषण हो तो हम उसको मैं भी यूज़ करूँ ना, मैं भी स्टेटस पे लगाऊँ या उसको, तो ताकि वो मैसेज कन्वे करना आसान हो। अब राहुल गांधी जी जब
मेरे पास एक बेटर सॉल्यूशन है। जिस
हुँ,
एंथुसियाज्म के साथ हम लोग उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि राहुल गांधी और ऑपोजिशन कुछ करें, उसी
हुँ।
एंथुसियाज्म के साथ तुम और मैं क्यों ना ये एक्सपेक्ट करें कि सरकार एक भाषण दे। नरेंद्र
नहीं,
मोदी ने
वो एक्सपेक्ट करना
प्रधानमंत्री ने
छोड़ दो
पार्लियामेंट
आप।
में भाषण दिया, मणिपुर के बारे में खास कुछ बोला नहीं। प्रधानमंत्री ने लाल किले पर 15 अगस्त को भाषण दिया, वहाँ भी मणिपुर के बारे में बस
हाँ,
कैजुअली एक चीज़ मेंशन कर दी।
हाँ, हाँ।
प्रधानमंत्री से हम लोग एक्सपेक्टेशन रखना बंद क्यों कर चुके हैं? हमारी सारी
अरे
एक्सपेक्टेशन राहुल गांधी से क्यों है? वो तो लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन में नहीं है।
अरे वो एक्सपेक्टेशन मोदी जी से खत्म हो गई है, इसीलिए हम उनसे रख रहे हैं, वरना अपोजिशन से कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं रखता है, क्योंकि अपोजिशन तो अपना काम 100% एफिशिएंसी से करता है। पर
करना
अब जो
चाहिए।
है ऐसी सिचुएशन बन गई है कि
हुँ,
जहाँ जो सरकार है वो तो कर ही नहीं रही है, वो कुछ सुनती नहीं है, समझती नहीं है, और उसको
हुँ,
हटाना ही है, एक ही ऑप्शन है, तो उनसे कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन है ही नहीं। हालाँकि मैं
हुँ,
मोदी भक्तों को ये कहता हूँ कि देखिए आप मणिपुर पे बोल नहीं रहे, और
हुँ।
मोदी भक्तों के पास एक्चुअली कोई जवाब है ही नहीं इसका।
हाँ, तो
लेकिन फिर
पूछते
भी
रहो ना।
हाँ,
सवाल का उसका जवाब
पूछने
यही है
पे
कि पूछते रहो, पूछते
हाँ।
रहो।
लेकिन उनका एक एजेंडा है जो मैं समझ गया हूँ, वो एक द्वेष है कम्युनिटी से, वो ही है समर्थन का कारण, बाकी और कोई कारण मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, क्योंकि अब तो स्पष्ट हो गया है ना। अडानी
हुँ,
इश्यू पर तो फिर भी ये लोग आर्गुमेंट कर रहे थे, पर
हुँ,
यहाँ पर तो बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हो गया है कि कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहे प्रधानमंत्री, कोई चिंता ही नहीं है उनको।
हुँ।
उसके
या
बाद भी ये लोग अब
वो
है तो है।
प्रधानमंत्री का अब मुझे
हुँ,
लगता है हम लोग एक बड़ी हद तक प्रधानमंत्री का एक्चुअल मोटिवेशन भूल जाते हैं। ऐसा नहीं है कि प्रधानमंत्री भाषण दे नहीं सकते और जवाब दे नहीं सकते। उनका बड़ा गोल ये है कि वो इमेज को लेके बहुत कॉन्शियस हैं और वो
हाँ,
चाहते हैं एक जब भी उनकी इमेज आती है तो हम देखते हो ना वो फ़ोटो में अकेले होते हैं, राइट?
हुँ,
या तो अकेले होते हैं या तो किसी को ऐसे करके एडवाइस दे रहे होते हैं। ही कैन नॉट बी सीन एज़ समवन हू इज़ गेटिंग आस्क्ड समथिंग।
हुँ।
अगर एक वीडियो क्लिप जाता है जहाँ पे उनसे कोई सवाल पूछ रहा है, वही उनको अलाउड नहीं है। सवाल का जवाब देना दूर की बात है, कौन पूछ रहा है अलग बात है। वो चाहते हैं कि ये मैसेज जाए कि मुझसे कोई कुछ पूछ ही नहीं सकता, मैं इतना बड़ा हूँ। एंड दैट इज़ द मेन प्रॉब्लम। इसीलिए राहुल गांधी के जब स्पीच के दौरान कैमरा राहुल गांधी पे रहता ही नहीं है, स्पीकर का मुँह दिखाता है।
हाँ,
वो बहुत इमेज कॉन्शियस हैं एंड दिस एंटायर गेम इज़ अबाउट इमेज एट लीस्ट फॉर हिम. For other people, it may be about survival, democracy and whole lot of other things. For him, it is only about looking good. इसीलिए जब इसरो का स्पेसशिप चंद्रयान चाँद पे लैंड कर रहा था, हमको कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन की जगह नरेंद्र मोदी की शक्ल देखनी पड़ी बिकॉज़ इट्स ऑल
वो
अबाउट
तो एक
इमेज फॉर हिम.
एक पैटर्न है उसमें तो कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी बोलते ही नहीं है। जैसे अभी ये वाला इश्यू भी था ब्रिजभूषण जी का, उस पर भी
हुँ.
वो बोले नहीं। तो
या
ये तो उसका एक पैटर्न है उसका कि वो इमेज
बोले नहीं, बोले नहीं और भारतीय कुश्ती संघ को बर्बाद कर दिया। क्योंकि अब
हाँ,
हमारी कुश्ती हमारे हमारे जो पहलवान हैं, वो भारत को रिप्रेज़ेंट नहीं कर पाएँगे इंटरनेशनल इवेंट्स पे,
हाँ, हाँ,
उनको
मैंने अभी
इंडिपेंडेंट बन
अभी-अभी
के
देखा।
जाना पड़ेगा। उस एक
हाँ,
आदमी को सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट के चार्जेस से बचाने के लिए कुश्ती संघ को बर्बाद कर दिया गया।
हाँ, हाँ। अरे
सोचो,
ऐसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें मोदी जी ने की। एक बार तो इन्होंने झंडा नीचे कर दिया था भारत का। एक
कहाँ?
ब्रिटेन की महारानी की मृत्यु हुई थी, तो
हुँ।
उसकी उनकी मृत्यु पर झंडा नीचे करने का क्या मतलब, इससे ये नेशनलिज़्म कहाँ से हो गया? मैं तो समझ ही नहीं पाता इनका, और
ये हुआ
मोदी
था, ये
भक्तों को ये सब
मुझे नहीं
पता
पता
था।
मुझे नहीं पता।
अच्छा, नहीं पता है?
इंडियन
अरे आप सर्च करिए, ब्रिटेन की महारानी की मृत्यु पर इन्होंने भारत का झंडा नीचे कर दिया था। अब इतना
इंडियन
बड़ा काम, इतना स्पष्ट प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण है, मोदी जी के जो भारत को लेकर के क्या विचार है उनके, वो पूरा स्पष्ट है। तो मोदी भक्त तो सुनते नहीं है, और अपोज़िशन भी इसको कोई बड़ा मुद्दा बना नहीं पाया। और
ये 11
अच्छा
सितंबर
कुछ
2012 का है, क्वीन एलिजाबेथ द सेकंड्स डेथ, इंडिया mourns demise, national flags fly at half mast. The national flag will be flown at half mast on the day of mourning throughout India on all buildings where the national flag is flown regularly. There will be no official entertainment on the day. आई थिंक ये कॉमनवेल्थ नेशन होने का एक साइड इफेक्ट है, इवन आई डोंट एग्री विथ इट, बट ये मोदी जी के अलावा कोई और होता तो शायद वो भी करता। ये मतलब एक कॉमनवेल्थ नेशन होने का ट्रेडिशन में आता है। आई डोंट एग्री विथ इट, बट आई डोंट थिंक इट इज
हुँ।
स्पेसिफिकली डू विथ नरेंद्र मोदी और मुझे लगता है कोई और होता तो वो भी यही करता।
नहीं, पर शायद मुझे तो नहीं लगता कि क्योंकि मैंने न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री पर सुना था, तो उन्होंने कहा था कि ऐसा कोई ज़रूरी नहीं था, मतलब आप
अच्छा,
वो बता सकते थे, ऐसा झंडा नीचे करने का क्या मतलब है? ये तो आपने एक तरह से
राइट। मुझे नहीं पता इस बारे में, पर मुझे लगता है कि ये मतलब नरेंद्र मोदी के व्हिम्स और फैंसीज़ के बेसिस पे नहीं हुआ होगा। इसका कोई और कारण रहा होगा।
हाँ, हो सकता है। ठीक है। अच्छा, एक छोटी-सी कहानी सुनाना चाहता हूँ, उसके
ठीक है,
बाद मैं जा
अर्जुन
रहा हूँ।
अर्जुन अर्जुन अभी कहानी के लिए टाइम नहीं है। मेरे पास अभी 8
अरे
लोग
बहुत
हैं,
छोटी-सी
ठीक है?
कहानी है। अरे बस 1
नहीं यार,
मिनट, 1
टाइम नहीं
मिनट।
है। टाइम नहीं है अर्जुन, अगले
अरे
अगले हफ्ते आना, बात करते हैं, ठीक है? चलो, बाय-बाय। That was Arjun. And the next caller, let me take a look at. Guys, I'm still choosing on the basis of topic, okay? Uh, right. I'll take Emmet. Emmet, you're online.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You can speak a little louder if you want.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, let me give you just a brief from what I'm going through because of you.
Okay.
I was a Muslim by choice since I was 16, and I started practicing. I dedicated my whole life since then till now.
Hmm.
It's been like 4.5, 5 years.
Hmm.
And I'm so dedicated since after COVID. I have been so dedicated to my religion that I
Hmm.
have actually memorized half of the Quran.
Okay.
And from last 2 years, I have joined the Islamic school.
Okay.
And now, just a couple of weeks ago, I came across your videos, and now I am just unable to process how things are going because
Okay.
the things you're saying are making more sense than I thought they would. I
Okay.
looked through religions, but I never gave a serious thought about atheism because it was fed to me that there is no possibility that there can be no God. Like there has to
Hmm.
be a God. Like everything has a design. But now
Hmm.
the things you're saying are making so much sense, and now I started to look at the things which I used to believe in,
Hmm.
and once you said that religions always justify themselves when they are asked to explain something about it. And I
Hmm.
saw that most of the things I'm doing, I'm justifying them rather than
Hmm.
giving a logical and reasonable explanation about them. And now
Yep.
I'm totally having a meltdown. I'm
Okay.
overwhelmed. I've lost sleep since, uh, like, I
You
don't know,
love.
15 days.
Okay. I'm
And
sorry to
now,
hear that. I'm sorry to
no,
hear that. But
not
these
in
things
a
happen.
bad way.
Okay. Okay.
It's not in a bad way. It's like I have lost sleep because now I can look through more things, and now I'm more open minded about
Hmm.
things which are making sense. And
Okay.
now I want you to help me. How can like, I am learning about everything, like
Hmm.
the videos and all the books I'm trying to read, but it's just existential crisis, I guess, because since past 4 years, I had like, if I die, there's nothing's there because I know I'm
Hmm.
going to heaven. That was my
Mhm.
belief, and within 15 days, it just changed like this, and now I want you to like just give me a little roadmap so that I won't feel the same.
A roadmap is what you had until now, Ahmed. Right now, what you have is freedom. The world is your oyster. Now, you don't have to live your life according to what you had been told. You can choose your lifestyle. You can choose your path going forward. That's your new roadmap. But can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure.
Were you born in a Muslim family?
Yes.
Okay, I was confused because you said you were a Muslim by choice.
Yes, because my family don't practice, like not at all, like zero.
Oh,
Like
okay, okay, okay. So your family is kind of like secular minded. They don't practice really. They're not very religious. But you went into a slightly more conservative outlook with
yes,
respect to your religion. Okay,
yes,
okay.
and
And what
that
exactly? Huh, go on.
and when I started wearing the hijab, like
Hmm.
my father didn't wanted to take me out with him because I was wearing
Okay,
a hijab.
okay.
That type of family.
Hmm. So what do you have you told about this change in your outlook to your family?
No, because now I don't know why why this is happening to me. But
Okay.
since like 6 months ago, my family suddenly started practicing, and they
Hmm.
are more practicing than I have ever seen anyone, especially my
6 months
mom.
ago, your I thought your family was not really into religion.
Yes, they were not. My father still isn't, but my
Hmm.
brother, when I started practicing, he started practicing with me. But
Hmm.
my mom, she is now so much into religion that she is, and now she is like, because of all this oppression against Muslims, she is now
Hmm.
more into it. Like she
Yeah.
is
Yeah. That
pushing
happens.
herself, she's pushing herself to a limit where she is like, I don't care about anything. So much bad is happening towards Muslims, and now
Hmm.
I cannot take it anymore. And she just went into the religious mode. And now I
So
am like,
so their move towards a slightly more conservative way of living was after you.
no, no, no. It just happened.
Okay.
Mine happened just 15 days ago.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
now I don't think so I'm a Muslim anymore.
So what exactly was which piece of content of mine, if any specific piece of content it was, uh, which one did you find most like because of it you changed your mind?
The first one was when you said that there was a reel of yours.
Hmm.
I think it was on YouTube and short, and you were saying about the whenever a religion is asked to explain something about it, they just justify it. And I was
Hmm.
looking at it from my lens, and then I put
Hmm.
yours, and then I can
Hmm.
see that about women. I was a conservative, and I used to think that yes, women are different. Even though in the back of my head I had like, no, but I still had to have a job, right? I
Hmm.
cannot
Hmm.
I cannot be dependent completely on the guy who I'm gonna marry, right?
Hmm.
These type of things were there always, but specifically, I never
Hmm.
told anyone that always I never had any problem with LGBTQ
Hmm.
community because
Okay.
I knew I was a part of it.
Oh, you are part of the LGBTQ community?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
and I never told anyone about it.
Hmm.
And even my friends who were liberal and are still, I just told a couple of them, and
Hmm.
they were like questioning me because a couple of them knows that in Muslim, if you are a Muslim, then you are not allowed to be homosexual.
Hmm.
So, and they were like, "But your religion says that." I'm like, "Shut up."
No, it's as an I've also seen people uh, who try to bring together the religious outlook with their sexual or gender orientation, and they say, yeah, there is a middle ground I can find. There are gay Christians, there are trans Hindus, there are, I'm sure there's a category out there somewhere which is LGBTQ plus Islam, although how they
Yes,
make it work I cannot possibly imagine.
no, there are women, and there are videos of these women, and they are being bashed left and right.
Hmm.
When they say that I wear a hijab, I'm a Muslim, I
Hmm.
pray, but I have a girlfriend. And
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
women are being bashed left and right by conservative everywhere, like Orthodox Muslim. They are like, if
Hmm.
you want to sin, then sin in your
Yeah.
private rooms. Don't show it to anyone and all.
Hmm. But then that is also hypocritical, right? Sin is sin. It's
Ye-
not like if you're sinning in
Yes,
private, God can't see it.
exactly. And this is
Mm,
why this is why I came to you because just for a like millisecond, I was thinking that no problem. Even if my religion is imperfect, even though I know that things are wrong in this, even though I
mm,
don't have any real explanations but justifications, I will
mm,
still believe in it. But I cannot
mhm.
because
Yeah.
my mind just do not allow me to do that. It's like I'm going
Although
against myself.
I am a little sympathetic towards the position that your parents find themselves in, because a lot of times religion survives because it, like if someone is getting hammered for their religious identity, one of the most natural reactions to it is that, "Nahi, you are hammering me on it, I will hold on to it even more tightly." That is why, like, I've heard stories from uh, I've heard stories about, not from, because I was not there, during the uh, Goa Inquisition, when the Portuguese were converting people from Hindu to Christianity, back when it
Mhm.
happened, when Portuguese people were first making contact with the people of Goa, there were people who, like, they made it illegal to a certain extent to be Hindu, like people are punished. So what they did was that they'll have boxes with clothes, and if you removed all the clothes, and at the bottom of the box there will be image of a deity, of a Hindu deity. So people try to keep alive that which someone else is trying to kill. And in many cases, like, of course, all religious violence is religious violence by religious people against all other religious people. Like, atheists hardly ever do anything. But I can understand why, in the political climate that we are going through right now, your parents find it important to hold on to what they find sacred. So I hope one of your problems is not coming out to them. Are you planning to?
No,
Okay.
because when I
So
told
your
my
only problem is your roadmap, right?
yes, because right now it was so, like, the anxiety level was so high that I was
Hmm.
unable to do anything. Like, the
Hmm.
more I was thinking about it, the more it was getting worse, and the more I have to spend looking through stuff, because, like, most of the reasons why I choose to believe were crumbling down in front of my own eyes.
Hmm. I feel like it may also have had something to do with the fact that your family originally was not very orthodox, and the fact that you, as you know, as far as your LGBTQ identity is concerned, it is always going to be a sore thumb sticking out of your religion. So maybe those pressures were already at work, and I kind of just pushed you over the cliff.
Yes, maybe.
Maybe. So yeah, don't worry
Yes.
about it. To my best advice would be, accept the freedom that you now have, at least intellectually, even if not socially, to explore
Mhm.
who you are, and figure out, like, you're young, you have your entire life in front of you. Figure out who you want to be 10 years from now, and then work towards it. Create your own roadmap, is what I'm saying.
Okay, sir.
Cool.
Thank you.
Don't call me sir. It's okay. Chalo. Bye bye.
Bye.
That was a sweet call. I liked it. Uh, right. So we are at the 1 hour mark. I don't know how long I can do this. I will give it 15 more minutes. But I have one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 people in the chat, and I'm going to have to choose just one or two people. So nobody else join, please. Uh, Paranoid. Paranoid wanted to talk about Star Trek last time. They're back. And then there is. Uh, Okay, Luffy. I don't think Luffy has said what they want to talk about. Luffy. Okay, Luffy को पिछली बार लिया था शायद. So I'm going to remove some people from chat, and please don't re-add yourself, because I'm not going to be able to take everyone. Shiroyasha, sorry. Shiroyasha, Kotaya, Anonymous. I don't know who Anonymous is, so they also go. Uh, Let me take peer annoyed, और इसके बाद one more person I'll take. I still haven't decided who. So if anyone has a topic that they think can wait till next week, please go. Feel free to leave. Peer annoyed के बाद एक ही व्यक्ति को लूंगा, and I'll choose that after I'm done. Peer annoyed, you're online.
Yeah, hi, Vimoh. So I know you posted some 3 months ago a video about Star Trek and imperialism, and I thought I'd just poke you a bit about that video.
Sure, go ahead.
In
Go ahead.
general, I completely agree with the case that
Hmm.
that the Starfleet and the Federation in general is an imperialist power in a certain sense. But
Hmm.
if you remember, there was this episode called A Session in DS9, and
Hmm.
in that I'm sure you might not remember what it was totally about, but I'll just give you a fast run through of what happened. um, this guy, this 200-year-old Bajoran came through the wormhole and said that he was the
I
real,
remember. I remember.
yeah,
Huh.
he was the real. This was the Caste episode, effectively, of Star
So
Trek, right?
for the audience, let me just read out the plot from Wikipedia. An archaic Bajoran spaceship emerges from the wormhole. Its passenger, Akoram Lan, is a revered Bajoran poet who disappeared 200 years ago. Akoram claims to have been chosen by the prophets as their emissary, a role thought to belong to Captain Sisko, who never felt comfortable being the Bajoran's messiah figure, cedes the title without resistance. Yeah, and then I don't want to read more because I'll ruin the episode for people. But go on. What's your point?
Yeah, so the whole point is that once he becomes the emissary, because he is a 200-year-old poet, he
Hmm.
basically reinstitutes the system of caste that the Bajorans have, and because of that there's a lot of violence, right? And
Hmm.
Cisco's whole reasoning in this, in the sense that he wishes to get back the title that he ceded away, is that
Hmm.
if he doesn't take that power back again, then
Hmm.
this sort of this practice, this horrible, terrible practice continues to exist. So I was thinking,
Hmm.
if you can draw parallels with this to our real history, like the Mahad Satyagraha, right, where Ambedkar goes and is effectively prevented by caste Hindus from,
Hmm.
doing the Mahad Satyagraha, because the British government says that we are with you on this, but there's a whole court case and you need to follow through on this, right?
Hmm.
I mean, and he eventually wins that court case. So, what do
Hmm.
you think about yeah, sure, the British imperialist powers were using the caste problem in our culture to their benefits,
Hmm.
but still there was a liberal sort of sense of upliftment that was
Hmm.
there, and the people who were involved in the caste
Hmm.
conversation always used it to their benefit. So, what do you think about that? How do you how do you deal with that question?
See,
Sorry if I took a lot of time
no,
with
no,
setting that up.
that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I don't hate Star Trek, right? I don't hate Starfleet. I criticize Starfleet and the formulation of it as a story by a collection of Western writers because it kind of glosses over a lot of things in the next generation, right? But DS9 is actually quite a bit more nuanced. In fact, it is probably the most nuanced Star Trek series ever. So if you look at the overall Star Trek, bank of stories, you get the sense that Starfleet is a fascist organization, which is, it may be described as fascist even, which goes around colonizing and using resources and uh, imposing its own view of civilization on native cultures of planets, which may very well be very different, right? But Deep Space Nine is actually quite different, and
Yeah,
the only way it suffers is what I said in the video, in that it still is kind of a little bit of a white man's burden thing that is happening there. So I'm not saying that the British did not help at all. It is possible that some things they did might have had positive consequences after they did it, but that was not their intention, was it? That is my
yeah,
point.
yeah, I completely agree. But I'd also like to bring up the fact that the people who we view the story through their eyes from, right, like in
Mm,
TNG, through
mm,
Captain Picard, or like
mm,
DS9, all of those
mm,
people are good people, right? All the admirals you meet during the stories, right, they're evil people, the people who are outside of this small select group that we find, right? So
mm,
that I see as the reason why Starfleet is seen as bad, right? Because we're viewing the entire story from a select group of people who are generally good people, right? And that's what
mm.
causes the problem.
Yeah.
Starfleet as an organization might be bad, but the people who we view the story from are always necessarily the best people, right? That made to be.
No, let me give you another view on it. Let me give you another view on it. Do you think that the British people who violently suppressed every rebellion in India thought of themselves as bad people?
Yeah, no. I'm
That's
definitely not going to
that's the
support
point.
British imperialism. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I get
that
it.
is the point. If
Yeah,
Starfleet was real, right, and the stories are being told from the perspective of Starfleet, and the protagonists are all Starfleet captains or admirals or first officers, then this is exactly the kind of story we will hear. Which is why I find Lower Decks a little bit refreshing, because there is a power structure in Lower Decks. Lower Decks is a very funny Star Trek cartoon series. If you guys want to watch it, please
yeah.
do. It's
I mean,
it's quintessentially Star Trek in many ways.
I'm a huge fan of Star Trek generally, and I think this is just like a personal thing. I was a little bit irked by that video. Not I mean, I completely agree
I
with
get
it,
it.
but
I
it's
get
just
it. I
that,
get it.
yeah, it's like a fandom that I have so much love for, that any sort of criticism sort of
Which is
irks me.
why I
But
put a
yeah,
disclaimer in the beginning of it. I put a disclaimer in the beginning of that video saying, I am going to criticize Star Trek and I'm going to do it because I love it. This is not hate.
Yeah, totally. I understand. I'm just, I thought I'd come on and, just, I wanted to speak to you about this for a long time. I've been watching your stuff very recently, and I'm a big fan. Thank you for everything that you're doing. I think, especially the conversation around caste that you bring up, being a Dalit myself, I think it's very useful to see
Thank
out
you, man.
in the open in YouTube. Yeah,
Thank you.
so I just wanted to, just comment. Sorry for taking everyone's time. A lot of people might not care, or, but yeah, thanks for at least like taking my call too. Yeah.
Thank you, Paranoid.
Anyways,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
I hope I'm
Thanks.
pronouncing your name correctly.
Yeah, yeah, it's just pair and annoyed. It's a
Where?
little bit of a pun. Yeah. So
Okay.
paranoid. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
You
yeah,
could simply have written paranoid. You could
yeah,
have
yeah.
done.
But yeah, sure.
I had
Thanks,
this
man.
I had this old joke about this place near Delhi where everyone is afraid. It's called Paranoida.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure I'm annoying a bunch of people. So, oh wow, there's someone who says that if I mean, they'd like to talk about mangas and comics with me. So yeah, I guess I found another friend here. Anyways, yeah,
Cool,
thanks.
cool.
The amazing community. Yeah, you guys can, have fun.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
Thank you. Please
Bye
do
bye.
come back. Bye bye.
Yeah, sure.
That was Oh wait, मैंने गलती से और किसी को निकाल दिया क्या? हाँ, that was Paranoid. He already automatically left. Right. So now I am going to take Bhavesh Vyas and Shirayasha. If you have a very small point, then you can stay and I'll take you right after them. I don't have time for other people. So Bhavesh Vyas and then Shirayasha. Let's see. Hi Bhavesh, you're online.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, first of all, congratulate on Chandrayaan 3 mission and Pragnananda being
Thank you.
runner
I
up.
was personally responsible for it.
So my question was like from yesterday, I am seeing the video of Pragnananda on the
Hmm.
Sadhguru's video on Sadhguru's channel. So
Okay.
I've also seen similar people like Sachin was following one Baba and like also Sadhguru have many videos like famous people. There was one video chef Sanjeev Kapoor, PV Sindhu.
Hmm.
So I was like it's become very influential when we see videos of famous and successful people on Sadhguru's channel. So
Hmm.
like how can we rationalize? Yeah,
Hmm.
I know that being successful and being rational is different, but like when we see that they are following routine, they are achieving something, so there must be something which is good.
But all it tells you is that they found a certain amount of strength in their religious belief when they were trying to focus on the sport of their choice, right?
Yes.
But there are other sports people who are not religious and they also do well,
Yeah.
right?
Or,
So
or like
clearly
the same.
religion is not the path to supremacy and sport,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
That's all. उसमें और कुछ ज़्यादा complicated नहीं है. Sure, there is this chess player who's brought a lot of
Mm.
laurels to the country by winning a chess championship, and he's very smart, and he also happens to be religious. So what?
No, but I was just thinking like the general masses become influenced, like Virat Kohli gone to some Baba, Sachin was following somebody. So I
Let me
was
ask you
talking
this.
about
Let
the
me ask you
gen.
this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Suppose there is someone who does not believe in God, and they watch
Yes.
Pragyananda win a chess tournament, and
Mm.
they find out that he's religious. Do you think they will start believing in God?
Uh, I think like you gave the example like someone who doesn't follow anything, but when
Hmm.
he or she sees the video of Sadhguru
Hmm.
with Pragnananda and explore
Hmm.
more videos of him, then
Hmm.
it might be possible that he or she become a bhakt of Sadhguru. I
I
think so.
find I think it may lead some people to explore meditation and religious rituals, etc., as a way to be more disciplined in their sport. But I think most people who say that, see, he won a chess championship because he follows religious rituals, those people did not change their minds. They already believed that. They're just using, as I said, and as Emmett pointed out when she was here some time ago, most people are
Yeah.
not using these things as explanations. They're using them as justifications. They are already of the opinion that religion is amazing. Somebody who is
Yes.
religious wins a sport tournament and they offer it as a justification. See, the reason I believe is because, see, this happened. No, you believed before that.
Yeah.
Now, there may be people who change their mind and who get into religion as a result of this. But again, that's all
Yeah.
personal choice. People should feel free to do whatever they need to in order to become better at their sport, as long as they're not hurting anyone.
Yeah. So like I'm 22 and done engineering. So like there are so many people who became graduated, but like they are doing like they are following things which are very unscientific and very irrational. So like what's the
Hmm.
reason?
What is the question again?
Like even after like we say that because of education we become rational, but like nowadays many graduated people in science fields are becoming irrational and unscientific. So what is the
Hmm.
reason, what's the gap?
I don't think we become rational as a result of education. I think the role of education in inculcating a scientific temper and rationality is overrated. इफ दैट लाइक लोग बोलते हैं ना कि अगर लोग एजुकेटेड हो जाएंगे तो धर्म को छोड़ देंगे, नहीं छोड़ेंगे. यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड हाउ
Mm,
व्हाट सरप्टिशियस लेवल्स धर्म वर्क्स ऑन. इफ यू बिकम अ पावरफुल कैटेगरी ऑफ पीपल, regardless of how educated you are, one of you will be more likely to fall for a religion, and then religion will get to the rest of those people through that person. रिलीजन हर एज में अपने आप को उस एज के सबसे शक्तिशाली फिनोमेनन के साथ अटैच करता है. सो Christianity attaches itself to Roman empires. Islam attaches itself to certain other empires. Hinduism attaches itself to kings. Uh, it goes on and on, right? So पढ़ाई पढ़ाई करने से necessarily धर्म का impact कम होगा. I don't agree with it.
mm.
I don't even understand how people can continue to think of it when there is so much evidence to the contrary.
Like so just if you have 5 more minutes like that, Anad
Huh,
said similar.
you had questions. This was one of them. Your other question was, let me just
Yeah,
read it out so that we don't get sidetracked. Uh, one was Pragyananda, and then there was Pragyananda, and then there was uh, you have a similar experience like Emmat, and also you have a question about Sadhguru. I think you already asked the one about Sadhguru. Huh, go on.
yeah. So, like, I was in a depressive phase for like 2, 3 years in my late teens. Okay, so
Hmm,
there was,
hmm,
I couldn't get help from anything. Like, I was feeling depressive all day long. So, in my college, somebody told me, like, I was religious or believed like doing Hanuman Chalisa and going to temples will help me out. So,
hmm.
one of my friend was ISKCON follower. So he just I told him that I want to start chanting Gayatri Mantra. So he
Okay.
told me, so you shouldn't do that because it's not that effective. You will not able to chant it precisely. So I will
Hmm,
give you another mantra. So he told me of that ISKCON mantra, and
hmm.
he told me that all the beats are not authentic. Only from the ISKCON beats are authentic at that. So like.
Beads, as in beads of the like the chanting
Yeah,
beads. That's what you're
yeah,
telling.
yeah, yeah. So he said that
हाँ, तो
not all of this.
that's capitalism, that's capitalism.
Yeah,
उसको
yeah. So
बेचना था,
he
उसको
said
कुछ
that.
बेचना था इसलिए बोला
Yeah.
हमारे पास ओरिजिनल माल है, बाकी सब बकवास है.
So he told me like followed instructions, and yeah, it was temporarily good for because I became happy for some time. I followed my routine,
Hmm.
but when I got into the teachings precisely, I uh, uh, I realized that it is becoming a more of cultish. Like
Yeah.
they like one of the things which is in my mind now. One girl asked them in a seminar that
Hmm.
I don't want to talk with my family members when they came to home, like extended family members. So they said that you don't have to because they asked that is if they are following religion. So she said no. So they said then it's not necessary to talk to them. They are not religious people. They will
Yeah.
they will they will
It's a cult.
their
It's a cult.
yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. But like when I used to become more rational, I feared like because that I will go to hell, I will burn in hell. Yeah. So I really was very traumatizing. Like I even today, it's hard to like. I relapse into that many times. So
Relapse into what? What way of thinking? That you will go to hell?
like no, no, it's not. But when I left ISKCON, then I got into Acharya Prashan videos. when I left a celebration video, then Virat Kohli, Baba, I came to, I became addicted to it. Then I just get out. So like it's
Yeah, it's a like it's like you know how there are some places where people go to defecate openly. If
yeah,
you're walking through that field, you escape one pile of shit and you fall into another one. It's like that only.
yeah.
It's
The,
it's
just
it's Go on.
like two things particularly, like many of my friends and many like my friends are because of masculinity going down and that feminism going up, so they are more so like they are more defended to it, and like older persons are defended to capitalism, like
Hmm.
prices going high of people
ये
eating,
सब लिंक्ड है,
clubbing.
ये सब लिंक्ड है। रिलिजन,
Yeah,
टॉक्सिक मैस्कुलिनिटी, पेट्रियार्की, कैपिटलिज्म सब लिंक्ड है। एक बहुत बड़ा सिस्टम है। एंड आई सॉ अ वेरी लिबरल कंटेंट क्रिएटर कुछ दिनों पहले पोस्ट अ रील ऑन इंस्टाग्राम सेइंग यार सब कुछ थोड़ी पेट्रिया सब मतलब तुम ऐसी कोई एक जगह बता दो जहाँ पे पेट्रियार्की नहीं दिखती। एंड द आंसर टू दैट इज़ नहीं है। Seriously, the
yeah,
reason people whine about patriarchy and all these toxic things is because they are everywhere. It's not like it's the way to engage with it is to properly engage with it and see the reality that these things are everywhere and they need to be
yeah,
talked about. Not that, oh okay, so that's patriarchal, I'll go here where there is no patriarchy. वैसी जगह नहीं मिलेगी.
yeah. But the
But
main thing, like people are seeing like Urfi Jawed post, and like then they are becoming like there is need to be masculine and this is feminism in going down way. So what's the,
उर्फी जावेद
how
पोस्ट
can you
ऐसे
counter,
उसमें क्या होता है मैंने देखा नहीं
like
कभी.
like explicit content, like vulgar like dresses and all, like
तो
which we
उसके
term vulgar.
वो लाइक उस वीडियो में उर्फी जावेद बोल रही होती है कि वल्गर
No
होना
vulgar
चाहिए या
dresses. Well, no, she wears some vulgar or explicit dresses in Indian context. So, like
ओके.
when age group of mine or mine friends
हाँ, पर
see,
उसको देख के
so
किसी
they
को ये क्यों लगेगा कि ज़्यादा मस्कुलिन होना चाहिए या जो भी?
like with influenced by her, more women will go to wear these type of dresses, and like it's not good for society.
ओके, आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड। बट एनीवे आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड
Yeah,
हाउ दैट वर्क्स। बट या मोस्टली ये जो लाइक सीरियसली सोचो ना, अगर इफ समवन इज़ गोइंग टू डिक्लेयर देमसेल्फ मैस्कुलिन, व्हाट डू दे मीन
yeah,
बाय इट? लाइक आई एम कूल, कॉन्फिडेंट एंड अनअफेक्टेड बाय ट्रबल्स, राइट? बट दीज़ गाइज़ आर द मोस्ट
yeah,
ट्रबल्ड पीपल एवर। इनके मुँह से
yeah.
सुनते हो तो सुबह से रात तक रोना ही निकलता है। हाय, हाय बर्बाद हो गए,
Mm,
लुट गए, ये ले गए, वो ले गए। ये काहे का मैस्कुलिनिटी है? सो
yes.
डोंट वरी अबाउट इट।
And the thanks and one science is dope channel is also
भावेश,
like
भावेश ये तुम्हारा लास्ट पॉइंट,
yeah,
हाँ, ये
yeah.
तुम्हारा लास्ट पॉइंट, इसके बाद
Ah,
शिव
ah,
को लेके खत्म करना है।
yeah, yeah.
हाँ,
So alternative medicine, na, like for acne and like for acne especially, I tried.
हुँ,
Matlab, because of like Inad said na, because of she was traveling in religion atheism. So
हुँ,
like alternative medicines is something like I'm really confused even today, because I've seen like many people around me
हुँ,
who get treated by Ayurvedic or homeopathic medicine. So like today when I go to their clinics now, I have this mind like this is pseudoscience, and also I can't follow them regularly, and like
ओके।
modern, so that's the problem. Like I see
ओके,
people getting cured, but I have doubts, so I think I'm not able to get cured.
यो नो ऐसा नहीं है, लाइक इट्स देयर, डू यू नो दैट देयर इज़ समथिंग कॉल्ड एन ऑनेस्ट प्लेसिबो?
Yes, like even after telling it's placebo, people
Yeah, yeah.
get
So
cured.
so what people do
Yeah,
is like a placebo effect is when you eat a medicine and you think it has an impact on you and then you get better. And it was
yes,
essentially your body that made the change. But honest placebos are like उस डब्बे के ऊपर लिखा होता है, this is not medicine, this is just something you can eat and you can make yourself believe that it is medicine. And some people take it and they say, yeah, I feel better.
yeah,
So it's not really about like uh, I think there is evidence to suggest that if people believe that a medicine is doing them good, that medicine does end up
mm,
doing some good, even if it does not have any medical properties. But it is also true that if you don't believe in a medicine, but there are a bunch of people around you who believe in the medicine,
Yes.
your placebo effect will still kick in. क्या है,
Okay.
5 लोग बोल रहे हैं मतलब कुछ तो होगा इसमें।
Yes.
होम्योपैथी
Yes.
जिन्हें किया है तो कुछ सोच समझ के किया होगा, वैसे हो जाता है कभी-कभी।
Yes.
I
Okay.
would uh, I
Thank
would
you.
recommend that you watch the latest podcast episode on Science is Dope. He was talking to
I
Dr. Rohin
Yes. I
Francis,
watched
I
it
think.
today. Therefore, I
You
know the
did?
honest placebo
Yeah,
definition.
yeah,
Before that, I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Bhavesh, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
If there is nothing else,
Thank you
I'll
so
move
much.
on. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
That was Bhavesh. Guys, I don't have any time left. I'll take Shiroyasha and I am removing the rest of you from this queue. Please don't join back. I really don't have time. It's already 1 hour 25 minutes. So let's take Shiroyasha. Shiroyasha, you have 5 minutes as usual.
हेलो हेलो नॉइस
Hello.
तो नहीं आ रहा मेरी साइड से
नहीं.
ओके तो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन सैम हैरिस का एलजीबीटीक्यू पे मतलब कुछ कंट्रोवर्शियल ओपिनियन है क्या इफ यस
पता नहीं.
देन कैन यू
I don't know what his opinions are on the LGBTQ matter. I haven't
ओके
followed his
बिकॉज
opinions
आई
for a long
अज्यूम्ड
time.
यू सेड रिचर्ड डॉकिंस और सैम हैरिस का दिमाग खराब हो गया है तो रिचर्ड डॉकिंस का तो
हाँ,
आई नो
Richard Dawkins has some anti-trans views. Sam Harris का दिमाग खराब इसलिए बोला था because he was platforming Jordan Peterson and he has now distanced himself from all that. There is this thing called the intellectual dark web, IDW. It's a bunch of clowns sitting around in suits talking horse shit about culture and civilizational wars and all that. For some time, Sam Harris was in the middle of all of that, and he platformed really problematic people on his podcast, including one guy who said, "You know what? White people are smarter than people of color, and there is genetic evidence of it." So, वो मुझे सैम हैरिस के ऊपर से भरोसा उठना तब शुरू हो गया था.
व्हेन
He
वाज दिस
has since then distanced himself from Jordan Peterson and some other people. I don't know what he's up to right now.
ये व्हेन वाज दिस ये कब बोला उसने
About a couple of years ago, a year or
ओके
two
नाउ
ago. I don't know. I haven't kept in touch.
ओके
I
सो
mean,
यू
not kept in touch as in,
कट
yeah.
टाइज विद हिम ओके
Not cut ties with him. I just, for some reason, YouTube hasn't recommended anything by him.
Nice. Second question. When you were with Epified, I was watching your older videos
Mhm.
where you told that when you were aligned with the right wing. At that point, would you call yourself rational? Matlab, were you rational back then?
I think so. I had already started moving away from religion. Like during the course of time when I was making videos on Epified, I was like, okay, yeah, I like this stuff. It's storytelling, and maybe I can appreciate it as just that. So I was slowly moving away from it. I think it was while I was at Epified that I started openly saying that I'm an atheist. Sometime in 2016, early 2016. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. And like, would you like to call yourself now the Vibhishan of the right wing?
The Vibhishan of the right wing. I think that would be a very grand title that I don't want to take. But yeah, I guess I might be fulfilling that role, but I'm not that big. If
नहीं
if
नहीं यार
someone if someone who was the right hand man of the biggest right wing leader in the country decided to go left, that would be the Vibhishan. I was maybe one Rakshas standing on a border wall who said, "नहीं मैं वानरों के पास जा रहा हूँ."
नहीं anyway फर्स्ट टू लेटर्स तो मैच होते ही हैं कोई दिक्कत नहीं है
हाँ.
ठीक है फाइनल क्वेश्चन रिक्वेस्ट है ये ओके टू रिक्वेस्ट वन इज दैट
One
ये
second.
जो
Guys, please stop adding yourself to the queue. I'm not taking any more callers. Shiryasha is the last caller. Thank you. Please come back next Saturday. Shiryasha, go on.
two requests. First one is I think you made this वो जो right wing वाला where you talk about the right wing past that you had. You made a video on Insta also, right? I'm not sure. If possible, can you dig out that video because I was not able to find it because I want to watch that live.
Which one?
And where you talk about your right wing past and how.
Episode 55.
No, on Insta. I think you went live on Insta also.
I don't know how to tell you how to find on Insta because I myself can't find my old stuff on Insta.
Yes.
There's no search feature. That is why I did the YouTube live stream, so I can recommend that to people clearly.
ठीक है. And final request, I really liked your video about the forgotten truth about the gods, where you tell a story. It's a beautiful story. उसका एक हिंदी वर्जन है या बना सकते हो क्या? Will be very.
कोशिश करूंगा अगर आप कहें तो, पर मैंने
उसका
हिंदी
reach बढ़
वर्जन नहीं है
जाएगा.
उसका. अच्छा, ठीक है, कोशिश करूंगा.
उसका
ठीक है.
reach बहुत बढ़ जाएगा. I'll share it across.
Cool.
थोड़ा
I'll do
इंग्लिश में
that.
एक बैरियर आ जाता है So
Hmm.
it's a request. Chalo,
I'll try
thanks.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. Bye bye.
Bye.
एंड दैट वाज द लास्ट कॉल ऑफ टुडे। आई जस्ट रियलाइज कि मैंने एपिसोड के शुरू में किसी को बोला नहीं कि चैनल को सुपर चैट भेज सकते हो, सो आज कुछ खास आया नहीं। दैट्स ओके, इट डजंट मैटर। लेट मी जस्ट रिमाइंड यू दैट इफ यू वांट टू सपोर्ट द चैनल यू कैन डू so by clicking the join button below, and you can, I will read some comments, hold on, but let me just get this over with. You can join the channel by, you can support the channel by becoming a member by clicking the join button below. You can support the channel by sending a super chat. You can support the channel on Patreon at patreon.com/vimo. You can also send money at my website at www.vimo.in. There is a support button there. You can click on it and make a contribution of any amount of your choice. You can also send me money directly by UPI. The handle is Vimoh at UPI. VIMOH at the rate UPI. And any money you send will be very useful because I am an independent content creator and I use the money to pay my bills and buy books and software. So thanks in advance. If you are able to support, please do. If you're not able to, if you're tight on money, you don't have to. My content will remain free. Also consider following me on Instagram. वहाँ पे बहुत सारे reels डाल रहा हूँ आजकल. Instagram.com/Vimo. I should probably create a graphic for that on to put on screen. I'll do it next time. So let's look. Arun Rajendran says, with all due respect to the LGBTQ community, sometimes they seem to be arrogant, demanding respect, and they are also into cancel culture. This is just me. What do you think, Vimo? I don't think there's anything called cancel culture. There is an aspect of what we call cancel culture called call out culture, where everyone gets called out for something or the other, and it becomes a habit. But I don't think that can be said about the LGBTQ community. It's not arrogant to say that we deserve respect. It's not arrogant to say that we are equals. And a lot of times when people say that the LGBTQ community is being arrogant, they're simply, talking about them being assertive about their identity or their needs. So I don't think I would say this. कैंसिल करके कल्चर करके कुछ होता ही नहीं है, ये बकवास है जो राइट विंगर्स ने बनाया है। कैंसिल कल्चर मतलब यू डिड समथिंग रॉन्ग ऑन सोशल मीडिया, पीपल point it out, people say, hey, this is wrong, and you say, oh my god, I'm being cancelled, while not losing anything. There are so many people who said they were getting cancelled, but they didn't lose their jobs, they didn't lose their money, they didn't lose their movie projects. Some of them did lose their stuff and then they came back. It's just consequences for being an idiot online. It's not cancel culture. uh, let me try to find some other comments. भाई किसी को कोई है जिसको बहुत सारे लोग एडवाइस दे रहे हैं? Okay, I suppose Gunduchi took care of them. Akshat says, sir, please reply to those Hindus who claim that Gautam Buddha is the ninth incarnation of Vishnu and it is written in our ancient text. Well, the simple answer to that is, okay, Hindus will say that Buddha is the ninth incarnation of Vishnu, and Buddhists will say, we don't like that. He was just our teacher. Who do you listen to? If you're Hindu, you'll listen to your Hindu view, and if you're Buddhist, you will listen to your Buddhist view. Now, the Buddhist view is not controvertible. Like there is nothing supernatural about it. We are Buddhists. This is Buddha. He was our teacher. None of this is supernatural. But the Hindu view involves a bunch of supernatural claims. Where is Vishnu? Where are the avatars? Where is the evidence that Buddha was an avatar of Vishnu? So you might as well go for the simpler explanation, right? So that's how I look at it. Okay, everyone is calling her Ahmad. Her name was Emmet, Emmet. Emmet, even at the journey of practicing of faith, you being rational and open-minded, this way is very thoughtful and liberating. Yes. Taranga says, I think practicing organized prescribed religion versus not practicing is the first distinction to be made in one's own life before deciding on whether one is an atheist or not. But Taranga, not everyone is religious because they're practicing their religion in the most intense way. Like there are people who will call themselves Hindu, but they never go to the temple or anything. They just believe in some kind of Hindu, at least some kind of Hindu ritualistic reality. So if they lose faith in God, it won't be that the first step is that they return to ritualistic Hinduism and then they become atheist. They'll simply fall right through. So everyone has a different way of engaging with religion, and maybe this person, like even I'm surprised that they went from a practicing religious person to an atheist. But who knows? Maybe they have their journey is more curvaceous than we think it is going to be. Maybe there are a few U-turns in there somewhere. Hmm. प्रखर के गौमूत्र प्रखर के गौ ए यार क्यों किसी और की शक्ल का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो? My role model is Arthur Schopenhauer. He was such a good person. He knew life was suffering and boredom, and only way to live is to reduce the suffering. Wait, इसका कोई second part भी है शायद. The will to live is so evil. If you did not exist, then there will be no suffering and pain. Buddha and Arthur figured it out way too early. It may apply to some people, but it does not apply to everyone. Many people enjoy living, so it's not a universal truth. Um, hmm. Neil Kalita says, Gaurav Gogoi's speech was fantastic. He destroyed BJP once he had his flow going, but every time he mentioned Adani, the whole parliament yelled at him. How can we fight a system like this? That is what the opposition has realized. They have realized that this is not going to be a discussion where we ask a question and we get an answer. They are trying to appear as if they are stronger. So we are also going to have to play the appearance game. And that is why the opposition is playing it that way, I think. But anyway, let me get to the bottom. Not get to the bottom means like I'm solving a mystery or something. Let's take a couple of comments from here. Royal Dupare says, have you read Sophie's World? If yes, would you recommend it to others who want to start learning about philosophy? No, I have not read Sophie's World. So I don't know how I will recommend it. Dang Who says, what do you think about inborn talent and passion? Whenever I tell someone that inborn talent is fake, then they just chant the name of Shakuntala. So please talk about that. I think it's a mix of both. Every person has certain inherent tendencies, and depending on whether they find themselves in circumstances that enhance those tendencies, we either think of them as talented or not. It's never about just inborn talent or just learned experiences. It's a mix of both, I feel. Barnali says the common concept of masculinity is such a joke. It is deemed too shallow and fragile. Yeah, fragility is the defining quality of masculinity. Too shallow and fragile, and this rigid dichotomy between femininity and masculinity is itself a circus. Yep, and that is why we have so much transphobia on the online, short video ecosystem. मैं मर्द हूँ, क्या कोई और ऐसा है जो मर्द से औरत बन गया? अगर वो बन गया तो मुझे कौन रोक रहा है? कहीं मैं भी औरत ना बन जाऊं? इसीलिए मैं अपनी मैस्कुलिनिटी को बचाने के लिए सुबह से शाम तक रोऊंगा. दैट्स द जीनियस स्कीम. Right. So I suppose that is the end of today's live stream. Thank you everyone for joining. This was actually a set of good conversations, and I'm deeply sorry to everyone who I could not take. I think there were a total of like 15 people, and we only managed to talk to 4 or 5. And that's unfortunately that's going to be the case, which is why I'm doing these things on Instagram, where I'm just posting a thing on my stories where I say ask me anything, and you can send a question there, and I take like 30 or 40 of the 200 odd questions that come every time I do that. So follow me on Instagram and watch my stories. Whenever I say ask me anything, you can ask me questions there, and I'll do my best to answer questions there. So the next time I see you, it will be, oh yeah, I forgot. You can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Vimoh Show. When I do Twitch only live streams, you will find out about it. Right. So with that, we reach the end of today's episode. With that, we reach the end of today's episode. The next time I see you will be Wednesday at 8 p.m. Until then, please take care of yourselves and have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.